Hi, and welcome to Organizing Life's Daily Demands. My name is Peter Gordon, and I'm the president of New York Financial Organizers. We're daily money managers. We help people pay their bills, file insurance claims, do budgets. We focus on all of the non-investment side of personal finance. So, in essence, we help people organize their lives' daily demands, at least in the world of non investment personal finance. The purpose of this podcast is to introduce our listeners and viewers to other people who help in organizing life's daily demands. And today I'm with Kelley Joyce. She's the founder of the Truth at Work, and she helps people organize their work life. And we're going to have a nice conversation about the wonderful services she offers. Hi, Kelley. How are you
Hi,
today?
really good. So glad to be here.
I'm glad. So, as I usually do with these, I like the guests to say something about themselves, what their background is, and what led them to doing what they're doing now.
Sure. So I'm Kelly. Nice to meet you all. And I am a career and business coach. And what I do is three different things. It's basically the whole life cycle of your career. The first thing that I do is I help people figure out what they want to do next in their career. Maybe they've never had a career, maybe they're at the very beginning, or they've had many different careers, but they're ready for a change. And so I take them through a process to discover or rediscover what they're going to do next. The second big thing that I do is job search. I help people find the next job. So from the very beginning to thinking about making a change and getting ready to all the way to the end to the offer. And then the third thing I do is people who have jobs. So they're on the job and they want to do well. And this is perfect for people who are going through change. Maybe they've been promoted. Maybe they're coming back from a maternity, or maybe they're really struggling. Maybe they're on a performance plan and like a PIP plan, and they need help. So I love that. It's executive career coaching, and I've had people work with me through every part multiple times, and it's always a real joy.
And how did you come about doing this?
Yeah. So I've been running my business for 14 years, but for 18 years prior, I was in public relations. I did PR at agencies, specifically for technology companies, B2B software. I'm originally from Boston, and so in Boston, there's plenty of tech. And I worked my way up. I started by answering the phones and sending faxes, yes, to people, all the way to managing director. And my story is that I very much loved my career, loved it so much. I loved working with the media. I was award winning. But then as I rose up on the ranks, director, VP, MD, that's when I started to get more burned out. I'm an overachiever, workaholic. That's one of my topics I like to talk about. And it became something that was very dangerous for me, uh, emotionally and physically. And so I knew that this wasn't a career that I could sustain into my 40s and 50s and beyond. So around mid 30s, that's when I decided to get my MBA. That's when I decided to do my coach training. And that was all in the middle of the Great Recession. It was a
Uh,
really good time. So it was like 2007 to 10 when I was doing all my retraining and thinking about what was next for me. And that's when my work really ramped up too. So it got very, very loud. Things like flying in from a new business pitch from Chicago into LaGuardia and taking a taxi to Fordham Business to take my final exam. Like that kind of busy.
right.
And so I saw other people's pain. I was having a hard time, but other people were struggling as well, just looking around saying, goodness, this is not a good time. And that's when I honed into my own skills, which is, communicating, strategists, working directly with people. That was what I loved the most. I loved my clients. I loved my team. I loved all that. And that's when I realized that, hey, this is what I wanted to do, was to help heal people's work. Um, and there isn't really a title for that, but that's why I'm called a
I
career
love
coach.
that phrase, heal people's work. That's really great.
Yeah. And so that's why I do what I do. And there's all sorts of other stories too about like, changing jobs and, you know, standing out on, Lexington Avenue with my ficus plant after getting laid off, those kinds of things. But it really comes from a place of wanting to transform people's relationship with work.
Right, yeah. Um, no, that's great. And so how let's see, generally, what type of clients are coming to see you and at what point in their career?
Yeah. Um, the common word that I hear common things. I'm at a crossroads is a typical phrase. Um, and I don't cater to any one particular type of person, but I do work with all 4 generations, who are presently in the workplace, right? So
What are
my
those generations?
Gen Z, my 20 somethings, they are emerging from college or they've had their first job and it blew up and they realized that that was awful. And now what? Right. And so that's like the early years of working and they're adjusting. These are people who lived through COVID as young people. And now they're coming into the workforce where it's like, are we at the office or not at the office? Who are my coworkers? And there's a lot of anxiety. And there's a lot of they're being heavily impacted by AI because some of the
Yeah,
lower level jobs are being it's we're all being impacted, but some of the entry level jobs are really getting reshuffled, so they're taking a longer time. My millennials are, they're the ones that are getting married, buying a house, they're really trying to keep up with the Joneses. They're the ones that are looking for usually a promotion. They're like going from manager to director or to maybe to a VP. They're like 35, something like that. There's my Xers, like me. I'm an Xer. I'm 53. And so we're very much sandwich generation. Like I'm sure you have a lot of your clients
absolutely.
are that like that. And so, we are, in the last 10, 15 years of our work, we want it to be more sane and more sustainable. We have aging parents, we have the divorce, we have paying for children's college tuition. So there's a lot of life pressures around that. And we've always been a smaller generation in the workforce. We've always been kind of the buffer between the boomers and the millennials, right? Like kind of like the bridge. And boomers are still definitely in the workforce. Um, Either, they've actively decided to retire or they're just got huge energy and, they love work. And they're either
But they
still
have
in
to work.
or they have to work. Um, Absolutely. And maybe they didn't plan. Maybe something big happened, divorce, death, things like that. Um, or things just didn't work out for whatever
Right.
reason.
A lot of
Um,
parents.
lot of variables. And so they're great. They're usually moving towards passion work. And so that's really enjoyable. Like yesterday, I just helped a gentleman who works for the Department of State get his like last job with the department. He's 3 years away from being forced retired at 65. And so big celebration around that. Like, and it's it's his dream job, and it's the one he's always wanted to do, but he never got that rotation. So yeah, yeah. So those are my people. I don't have kids. I have clients, and I love all of them, no matter
Yeah.
how. Sorry,
And you have pets.
I have now 3 cats, Peter.
Uh,
There was 2 before, and now there's 3. I have to keep checking how many.
right, right. And So how do people find you?
A lot of people find me by word of mouth. Uh, my clients are very happy. I'm happy to say that they send me clients, but I am all over LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Come see me on LinkedIn. Fresh content every day. I do a weekly newsletter on Sundays. You
Yeah,
get
no,
it.
you are the king of or the queen of content.
Thank you. I put my crown on. Um, yeah, send out a Sunday newsletter because that's when the Sunday scaries happen.
Yep,
People thinking about work.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and I do webinars and things like that too.
yeah. No, that's great. You we have a list of things to talk about, but something's resonating in my head, so I thought I'd talk about that. I have a
Yeah.
friend who's like in his early 40s, and he's trying to find the right fit
Yep.
in work, and he's struggling. And I think there are a lot of people like I know there are a lot of people like that, and I loved how you described the generations. What's your recommendation to somebody like that?
Yeah. So for somebody like that, I mean, they have 20 years of going through work, right? I'm
Right,
I'm, I'm not even going to fully call it whatever it is that they're doing. Sometimes at that point, it doesn't even matter because it's really more about like what's the experience that they're having as a worker. So that person could come to me and say, I'm just exhausted, right? Or say I'm bored and not challenged, or not making enough money, or I need more flexibility, or any of these things. And so, mostly when it's like that, we need to go through a process that talks about their values, what's important to them, um, their belief system, and then, what are their boundaries with work? What are they totally willing to do, and what are they, it's a hard no. And then what they're good at, like their skills, things that are marketable that can be monetized. We talk all about money.
ah,
Yep. hmm
go into
Uh,
that. Tell me what that means.
yeah, yeah. Like there's so much money conversation in career. And sometimes people just want to like skip to like, let me get the job.
Right,
The thing is like half the time, most people don't even understand if they can afford their job. Can you
right,
afford to take this offer?
right,
Yeah. So we talk about first what's interesting to them and what do they want to do, but then we turn to research and we look at the market and we say what's going on in the market. Okay, so you say that you want this kind of work and you can get $80,000 for it, and then we sit down and we look at how much their life costs currently without making any change. You know, And is $80,000 like, will that keep you on on the line, below the line, or above the line? Um, I don't tell anyone that they can and can't take a job. I let the numbers talk. And if you love that job so much and it's still below, maybe you're changing your lifestyle.
right.
Maybe you're not in a two bedroom, you're in a one bedroom. Maybe you're not living in a major city, you're living in the suburbs. Like, if it's that important to you. Or people are just like, geez, I just need to make more money.
Right,
And it's like, well, let's do that. Or you get a side hustle or something.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, and that's. I mean, it's a conundrum to for a lot of people, and do you take something for the money or do you take it for because you want to do that because you'll be fulfilled by it,
hmm
and it's not. Do you work with people who are leaving the corporate world and trying to become a solopreneur?
Yes, absolutely. Um, it's an interesting process. It usually it isn't some sort of overnight thing. Um, as you heard in
Right,
my story, right?
right.
That was a multi-year thing.
Mine too.
Yeah. Yep. And so usually people start to have an inkling about it. And depending upon where they're at, some people, they decide to get one more job. Like we work together to get a really nice, what I call a bridge job. Like it'll take you for, it's very respectable, it's professional, it makes good money. But there's something about it that's like less demanding. Maybe it's just only 40 hours, kind
Yeah,
of
right.
thing. And it gets you from today to tomorrow. And you're basically striking a bargain with yourself saying, okay, I'm taking this really nice, respectable job, but it's going to allow me to have another 5 to 10 hours a week. And I'm going to use that over the next few years to save some money and have some stability while I start to create or train or study for this thing um, that I want to build.
That's great. That's really great. And what's your take on AI and where we are now and where it's leading us?
Yeah. Love this question. So AI has been really great. There's so much conversation about it, so much so that I've been doing a webinar series on it, on job search and AI. I've been calling it "You're only using 10% of AI's power in your job search." It's been really well attended, and basically, I pull back the curtain on all the things that you didn't know that you could do. And so job searches are very arduous, right? There's so much to do, and whether you're working or not, it's still a lot. And it could do way more than, just like fix a couple of bullets in your resume. It could help you make decisions, about career paths. It can help you research salary, right? Uh, it's kind of endless of what you can do. In my webinar, I talk about how it helps with the three S's: strategy, story, or narrative about yourself, talking about yourself, and systems, which is kind of like the day in, day out of, you know, reaching out and doing applications and things like that. So there's very little that AI can't touch in job search or in just business and life in general. And so I've done a deep dive on it, and I'm actually have a group that I just launched, a small group coaching group where it's job search and AI, and people are really super excited, and so am I, to
Mm,
make it
will
go.
that be open to registration again?
Yeah, yeah. It's rolling, so it starts every month. You could join at the beginning of every month.
We'll put that information in the text links.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. That's
yeah.
really great. And what about where you see AI taking the job market in general?
hmm Yeah. There's just a lot of fear mongering. This is my beef. I came from PR, so I always have an axe to grind with the
Yeah,
media.
yeah,
So
yeah.
um, I'm really disappointed in the way that it's so heavily negative. I think it just rattles people unnecessarily about it. And again, coming from tech, like I've worked through all these waves of technology innovation, right? Since 1996, that was the year that Netscape Communicator came out, the first browser.
I
So I've
remember.
been through all of it. And there's always that adoption curve, right? Like the early people, and then like, you know, we're getting to be almost we're kind of like early mainstream. I think there's more talk than people actually using it. When I did a deep dive on it, I thought that I was behind. And lo and behold, as I was working with my clients one to one, I saw that they were just using it like it was Google,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's not.
Right. And yeah, it's so interesting. I do think it's people are just scratching the surface. The normal people.
1000%.
but I'm talking to friends who are telling me different ways that they might be using it. But it's like maybe 10% of the people I know were
Yeah.
talking about it, they're using it. So really it's not. It's I mean, it's amazing what it can do, and we need to educate ourselves about it.
Yeah. So I think we're really only the media is blasting only half the story. It's killing jobs, it's sucking on our power grid, right? Like, people are getting laid off, you know, it's
Fear mongering.
yeah, it really is. Yeah. The There's so much upside. For someone like myself as a business owner, I'm able to get so much more done. I'm able to reach so many more people. Like these webinars I was telling you about, I worked with AI, as did my assistant, to build a ton of content that people were really excited about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't be able to get there. And it's the same with these jobs. Like now you can be a thinker, a strategic thinker, instead of, being stuck in a spreadsheet.
Very interesting. That's a great way. That's a great attitude to have.
Mhm.
That's a positive look. Well, look, this has been really great. I mean, we know each other, but I'm always impressed when I talk to you about, the breadth and depth of your knowledge of the job market. And I encourage anybody who's interested in discussing their own career path to reach out to Kelley. All that information will be in the information in the text part of the podcast and the video.
Yeah.
And um, I really appreciate the time, Kelley.
Thank you so much, Peter. And it's a joy to speak with you and your audience. And I do, if people do want to talk, I do offer a free consult. So I'll also put that in the link as
Okay,
well.
that's critical. That's really good.
Yeah, yeah, I'll put that in the
Is
AI course.
is that the right way to say it? Is from a PR point of view? I was just talking
The
about this yesterday. You shouldn't say free or complimentary. Do you think it makes a difference?
Yeah, there's kind of the online and so sometimes people, if I say it complimentary, people get kind of confused about it. I just want them to know, like, they're not paying in that
Right,
consult. Sometimes
right,
online in emails and things like that, free can get blocked. The word
right.
block, the word
Oh,
free.
really?
Yeah, it's sometimes it gets flagged.
Right.
So I switch
Yeah,
back and forth.
yeah, yeah. We do the same thing, but we offer, complimentary consultations.
Yes.
Anyway, this is great. Thanks again, Kelley.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And everybody, I will see you, or maybe you'll hear me at the next podcast and video cast. Bye bye.